What's up? My name is Janessa. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Simply Eloped, an elopement company that helps people elope nationwide. I'm so excited to be here with you today on my tip of the week. We are going to be talking about everything you need to know about eloping. Let's start off with the definition of a modern day elopement, since it's evolved. Back in the 50s, it meant something different. It meant getting hitched, getting married in secret. She's pregnant, the parents don't know. It was a fiasco, a scandal. That's not what elopement means nowadays. Nowadays, it means intimate, personalized, adventure, often outdoors, smaller groups, and cost conscious. So if that sounds nice to you, where do you start with planning your elopement? I recommend starting with your destination. Everything will kind of solidify once you choose your location and your venue. So things to consider when choosing your destination. For starters, I really love it when our couples choose somewhere that is meaningful to them. Whether it's where you fell in love, where you first met, or even a place that you've always wanted to go as a couple, getting eloped means that you can do it anywhere. So choose somewhere that's important to you. You shouldn't just consider where you want to hold your ceremony. Consider the whole trip. 89% of what we do are destination elopements, meaning the couple doesn't live in the place where they're eloping. This means that it's planned, it's far in the future, generally 3 to 9 months, and there's a whole trip to plan around it. So when you're considering your elopement destination, think about the activities, the restaurants you want to eat at, the whole well-rounded experience that you're gonna have on your elopement trip. Once you choose your destination, then you can choose your venue. Our elopement venues are as varied as your taste. Are you a mountain gal? Are you an ocean dude? Do you love the big city and what it has to offer? We are set up all over the nation, so there are no limitations to where you can elope. Another thing to keep in consideration when you're choosing both your destination and your venue is how many guests you anticipate. Now, we at Simply Eloped define an elopement as 20 guests or less. The reason that we do that is because once you have more than 20 guests, you actually need a lot more structure in your ceremony. At that point, you start needing chairs, decor, a larger venue, generally an indoor venue, and that's gonna drive your cost way up. So when you're choosing your destination, when you're choosing your venue, it's really important to consider the number of guests that you anticipate. Now, how to choose your guests? That's not a question that I can answer for you. It's gonna be individual to what both you and your partner want for your elopement ceremony. You may choose to have no guests. We're totally down with that. We love our personal and intimate ceremonies. But if it's important to you to have your wedding day with those you love around you, we highly encourage you to invite your clan. So sit down and make a list of the guests that you absolutely have to have at your ceremony, and don't forget about your partner. You should both make your own separate list and come together and figure out what guest size you're both okay with having at your wedding. And don't forget, this big day is about you and your love. So if you feel pressure from your family to invite people, I would highly encourage you to talk to them directly about that, because more than likely, they want whatever's gonna make you the happiest. Telling the guests you're not inviting can be an uncomfortable conversation, but it's an important one. There are a ton of ways to tell your friends and family that, well, you're eloping. My first tip is I highly recommend sending out an announcement to all of your friends and family that you're eloping and you've chosen to only invite immediate family. And we'll send you a XYZ afterwards, another announcement, a video, a Facebook post. The second way, and I don't really recommend this one as much, is to send out an announcement after you eloped. Hey friends and family, surprise, we eloped. I don't recommend you doing that, but if you want to, I guess you can. We'll talk a little bit more about this later in the video, but a really phenomenal way to tell your friends and family that you're eloping is that you're choosing to do this in private, but that they have the opportunity to celebrate with you at a later date. Whether that means a dinner party, a reception party, or even sometimes a larger wedding, it's really, really nice for the people that are important to you in your life to know that they can celebrate this huge milestone with you, whether it's in a small way or a big way. So let's talk about how to invite the guests you will be inviting. There's a lot of really wonderful options out there for you. So for starters, you can send out the traditional announcement. Even though you're eloping with a small group, it's nice to give people advance notice. You're only inviting, 20 guests? If someone's not there, you're gonna notice. So make sure you give them enough advance notice. And paper notifications in the mail is always a nice touch. There are some other really wonderful digital ways to make that happen. We love the websites of, hey, we're eloping. Visit our webpage for all of the details. A Facebook group is a really phenomenal way to keep in touch with your friends and family and give them consistent updates about where you're at in the planning process and how that affects or contributes to their trip. If you want to go as green as possible but still want to invite your guests in advance, you can't go wrong with evites. There are a lot of really, really wonderful, high quality evites out there, whether you're going through the Knot or Zola, that give all the details about your big day without having to do the paper option. So I've got a more in-depth video about this, but I just want to touch on it here, how to manage your guest expectations. This is a big thing. Because the term elopement has evolved so much, we found that family members often don't really know what's expected of them or how to behave. That's up to you to dictate. So, do you want your guests to bring gifts or not? Are they gonna eat with you after your elopement or should they come fed? How do you expect them to get to the destination? Do you have group bookings at a hotel? All of these are really important things to address when you send out the invitation to the ceremony. That way your guests know what to expect. The biggest thing that I see that can be problematic is that because it's so simple and easy to plan an elopement with a company like Simply Eloped, the guests often feel insecure, do your vendors know what they're doing or how to conduct an elopement? I really encourage you to talk to your guests and let them know that you've been communicating with Simply Eloped or whatever your company is and your vendors for a long time, that they know exactly what you want and envision. All they have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy. Next, let's talk about your vendors. This topic gets overlooked a lot. Your vendors are a crucial piece to your elopement. Your vendors should kind of be seen as your best friend for the day. They are, after all, facilitating one of the biggest days of your life. So when you're interviewing and talking with vendors and scouting for vendors, I highly recommend that you use a criteria similar to mine, which is, can I hang out with this person for an extended period of time, have a conversation and really enjoy it? Can I have a cup of coffee and have a great time? That's just a great criteria because you want to feel really comfortable with your vendors. The officiant's gonna be the person that's telling your story, helping you read your vows. That's a crucial person to your day. Your photographer is gonna be capturing the love between you and your partner and representing this event that a lot of your friends and family can't attend. Those are really, really important components and not something to be overlooked. So I highly recommend you find people that you vibe with, find people that you feel are in accordance with your style or your relationship. This can't be stated enough. Find someone you feel comfortable with. Another thing to keep in consideration when coordinating your vendors is pricing. Sometimes just $100 or $200 bump between vendors can make a huge difference. So even though you're eloping and you're going after these budget-friendly options, I wouldn't recommend always choosing the bottom rung vendor. They're usually priced low because they're inexperienced or just don't care that much. You want someone who's gonna treat your big day like it's just that, a big day. So be cognizant of price, not only on the high end, but also on the low end. Oh, lastly, when it comes to vendors, I think it's okay to have one or two things that you splurge on. After all, you are eloping. The average cost of a wedding in the United States is $34,000. There's no way your elopement's gonna come even close to that. So if there's a photographer that's a little high end that you really, really want, or if you just wanna go all out on your flowers, spoil yourself. It's your wedding. Let's talk about your ceremony. Ceremonies generally last 15 to 20 minutes, so they're not very long in length. But obviously, they're really, really important. I've got another video about top traditions that you can include in your elopement, but the main thing that I really want to encourage you around your ceremony is that when you think about your relationship, think about how that can be represented in your ceremony. Do you have inside jokes, poems, verses, movie quotes or references that you think would really spice up your ceremony? If yes, include those things. It doesn't have to be a themed ceremony. Your relationship has built over time, and I would tell your story, include snippets, tell your inside jokes, do whatever you can to really make this your ceremony. It's about the love between the two of you, so represent that. Some other tips in pre-planning: scheduling is paramount. You don't want to be late to your own ceremony. That's just embarrassing and stressful. So plan ahead. If you're doing hair and makeup before your ceremony, I highly recommend that you're giving yourself 2.5 to 3 hours to just get the hair and makeup done. You don't want to feel rushed. In addition, we recommend showing up to your ceremony location at least 15 to 20 minutes prior to your ceremony time. That way, you have plenty of time to settle in, greet your vendors, and get started. In general, I would tack on an additional 15 to 30 minutes in addition to what Google Maps is telling you to get to your ceremony location. There's always gonna be factors that you don't account for, whether that's New York City traffic or lines into Rocky Mountain National Park. You don't want these unaccounted for variables interrupting your ceremony day. All right, let's talk about the day of. My biggest tip is to breathe. You got this. It's a high pressure, high excitement day, and there's gonna be a lot of feelings going around. By this point, you've done the work, you've done the scheduling, you've coordinated everything you possibly can. I would just encourage you to relax, breathe, and enjoy every moment. This day is never gonna happen again, and you're gonna wanna remember every second for what it was, the beauty, the magic, the spontaneity. You've been waiting for this moment to marry the love of your life, so just lavish in it. We talked about this a little bit before, but let's get into it. Planning your trip. We understand that planning an elopement wedding from across the nation or in a destination that you don't live can be extremely daunting. And that's where Simply Elope comes in. But we can also help you craft and plan your entire trip. It should be seen as your elopement trip, not just your elopement day. So again, think about things that you're excited about. Do you want to go see a sports game or a Broadway show? Or do you want to swim with manta rays in the oceans of Hawaii? Make the whole journey an exciting experience for you, your partner, and maybe your family. So down to the days leading up to your elopement, how you choose to celebrate, and what you do before and after are just as crucial as the elopement. Speaking of which, let's talk about afterwards. Most of the couples that elope with us have a really nice dinner afterwards. Whether you have your 20 guests and you're going out as a group, or just having an intimate dinner, the two of you, you gotta celebrate, you just got married. There's a lot of fun options for you. If you're in Hawaii, go on a sunset sail cruise. Or if you're in Colorado, go to one of the fanciest restaurants in Denver. We also love our couples that bring a picnic and have a picnic in the park right after their elopement. There are so many ways to celebrate your elopement, and don't let that moment pass you by. I hope this was helpful for you in planning your elopement ceremony. If you have any questions, reach out directly, leave a comment below. I'm always around. Don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell, and visit me here next week for the tip of the week.